What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to The Breakdown, the series where I analyze gameplay to help you improve. In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing a Hardpoint gameplay on the map Biolab by AW Tryhard 345. Let's get into it. Alright, so as always, let's have a look at the class that he decided to use. So he's got the Bal 27 Obsidian Steed with foregrip, extended mags, and quick draw grip. Nothing wrong with this so far. One thing that I might recommend would be stock instead of extended mags. Since the Obsidian Steed has kind of a slower fire rate, I find you don't really burn through ammo really quickly like you do with the Bal Inferno. So in that case, I would probably swap extended mags for stock, but there's really nothing wrong with the way it's set up now. For perks, we have low profile, blind eye, toughness, and hardwired. Again, nothing wrong with this. One little suggestion, since you are playing hardpoint, I would probably swap low profile for flak jacket. Just a little nitpick though, there's nothing wrong with having low profile, but flak jacket is pretty useful in hardpoint. And as for hardwired, also not a bad choice at all. Personally, I prefer blast suppressor, but it's still a good choice to have hardwired as well. For exo ability, we have overclock, which is good. We have frag grenade, which is great for hardpoint. And then for score streak, we have a UAV with the threat detection module. Now, one thing after watching your gameplay and watching this gameplay here, one thing that I would change with the score streak there is I would simply add the support module on top of that threat detection module. Now, this is going to take an extra couple hundred points to earn, but that way you're at least guaranteed to earn it several times in a game. Whereas with the UAV that you have on now, you really aren't likely to earn it several times in a game. You might earn it once or twice, but it's not really likely you're going to be earning it every couple minutes, like on the clock kind of thing, like you would be with the support module. So that's why I'd recommend just popping support on there. Okay, so getting into the gameplay here, the first thing I want to point out, it happens right at the beginning and it happens throughout the entire video here, is a really bad accuracy habit that you have. One thing that you do, and I see a lot of players do this, is you aim very low first and then you try to adjust your aim upwards. Now this does give you a slight benefit in that your iron sights aren't blocking your enemies at all. Initially, like when your enemies come around the corner, you're still aimed down sight and ready for them, but they aren't going to be covered by your iron sights, so they're not kind of hiding behind your iron sights. So you get a really clear view of them. The big downside to this, and this is a huge downside, is you now have to adjust your aim upwards and onto target in order to land your first shot. This takes an extra like half a second or so, and it's also much more difficult to track your target if you're already starting aiming off target and then you have to try and track up onto target while he's still moving. It's just very difficult, and you do this basically all the time. You're ready for the gunfight, you're ready for the enemy there, you know where the enemies are going to be coming from a lot of the times, but you're aiming too low and you just aren't as prepared as you should be for the gunfight. So a big tip that I can give you, this is probably one of the things that will help you more than anything, is keep your aim at, I don't know, about waist to chest level on an enemy, or where you expect an enemy is going to be. That's where you should be aiming in preparation for an enemy. Not below where his feet are going to be, or not at his feet, but at waist to chest level. This way, even if you do get shot, you get kicked up a little bit. Also, your gun will recoil a little bit, so it will move upwards a little bit. So I wouldn't recommend aiming for like the upper chest or the head, but usually right around waist to chest level is the best place to aim in preparation for an enemy. So aside from that one big tip that I'm going to give you there, I'm basically going to skip through this gameplay and just pick out several situations and sort of point out some flaws or some things that I noticed that are really good about what you're doing. I just kind of want to skip through the gameplay here because this is quite a long gameplay and there's no way I'm covering everything. So right here, your teammates are all on the hard point, and for the most part you can see they're watching over towards the direction that you're looking right now, where the enemies can jump up through the window there inside the building. Because they're all looking in that direction, they pretty much have that entire direction covered. You don't really have to worry about that until they start dropping dead. That's when you have to start focusing on that. You should really be watching the back. You should be covering them from behind. That's kind of your job when you're in this position here. They know that you're on the minimap there. They can see you on the minimap, so they have that sense of security. You're the guy that's covering the back. They know they're not going to get shot in the back as long as you're there. And instead of watching sort of the back area there, making sure no one can get to him from behind, you're looking right over top of all that, and you're just trying to challenge the same enemies that they're all trying to challenge, but you're trying to do it from a much greater distance, so you're not going to be nearly as effective as the guys that are right up close there. Skipping ahead just slightly, there's something actually really similar that you do right here. So all of your teammates are over towards the tunnel that you're looking at right now. To me, in this situation, just based off the minimap, this should be the least of your concern, this tunnel right here. You have several teammates over there. This is the least likely direction that an enemy is going to be coming from. And yet you're aimed right there, so you're not as prepared for the people coming from your left-hand side through that middle tunnel area, which is where they start coming from. And also, you'll notice there's nobody behind you right now covering your back. So that's also the most likely direction that an enemy is going to be coming from. So I would have positioned myself much different than this. I would have positioned myself in a way to be able to cut off both that tunnel to your left as well as the entrance behind you. So I would have pushed in further, turned around, and I would have been able to cover both of those directions, or at least block one of those directions, block them from having a line of sight on me while covering the other direction. Now, I did want to point out that I think you did pick up on this right away, because as soon as you spawn back in and you come back here, you can see your teammates starting to get set up on this hardpoint here. And you can also see, if you're really watching the minimap carefully, he's positioning himself very well to cover the open holes, I guess you could say. He's watching where his teammates are watching, and he's covering anywhere that they aren't currently watching. So he notices nobody's watching towards the B flag area, he goes over there and he watches that. Then he notices they're not watching the back door, so he goes and watches the back door. So he's trying to fill that hole, and that's what you should be doing when you're trying to get a setup going in Hardpoint. Skipping ahead just a little bit again, I wanted to show off another situation where he had excellent positioning. This is probably the best place he could have been in this scenario, and it almost worked out for him extremely well. He almost got the triple kill. But the great thing right here is he's setting himself up for success against those guys coming through the tunnel, and he's completely able to cut that tunnel off basically by himself until he did get taken out, which was unfortunate, but he still positioned himself great in that situation. And because he did that, he completely cut off any access to the back door that they would have had. So now the people that are on the hardpoint only really have to watch the front of the hardpoint or the other side of the hardpoint there opposite to you. Moving on to another couple of situations here. This is just what you do in a gunfight that I noticed. It's another thing that I feel like could use a bit of improvement with your gameplay. When you get into a gunfight like this one right here, you don't make any effort at all to try to evade the shots or find cover or anything like that. You basically are staking your life that your aim and your gun and everything is going to be better than your enemies. It's a completely fair gunfight in this situation, and you're just kind of a sitting duck there hoping that you kill him before he kills you. And there's so many options you have in this particular situation. Like for this exact one right here, all you had to do was dash sideways, go towards where the window was to your left. Now you have the advantage in that gunfight. You have great cover to hide behind. He has no cover at all. So you now give yourself the advantage in that gunfight. Now, you didn't lose the gunfight, you didn't die, your teammates managed to pick up the kill before you, but you were one bullet away from death there, and you were really pushing your luck. And you actually do this again when you push towards the hardpoint into this doorway right here. You basically just stand in the doorway and try to fight back against your enemy. Situations like this is where stock would also play a really big role. You could kind of strafe in and out of that doorway while still staying on target and staying aimed down sight. So that's why I would recommend trying out stock if you haven't already, because I feel like it would help you a lot. So that pretty much wraps up the analysis that I wanted to do on this video today. The biggest thing I can say for you is the very first thing I mentioned in this video. Make sure you're aiming at waist to chest level where you expect enemies to be and not below their feet. This is something that will take a lot of time to basically drop this habit, because I do understand how hard it can be to break a habit, but this is going to help your gameplay so much to be ready for a gunfight the proper way. You want to be aiming right around their waist to chest level. Also, your positioning, it's good and it's bad. There's some situations where you kind of slip up. There's other situations where everything is great. So just really focus on improving that whenever possible. Also, I've noticed throughout the entire video, I didn't really point this out yet, your aim is a little bit lacking with this setup. I would recommend trying out my accuracy drill if you haven't already. If you don't do my accuracy drill, I would say give it a shot. I will link that in the description below. I feel like it'll help you a ton if you were to just spend a little bit of time on that every couple days, or every time you play you just jump on, do the accuracy drill for a little bit. I'd be willing to bet that would help you win a lot more gunfights than you win right now. So if you'd like to have a gameplay featured in a future episode of The Breakdown, keep in mind I'm looking for more below average or less exceptional gameplay, And also it does have to be 720p in quality, then just upload a video to YouTube, set it as unlisted, and send it to the email address that I left you below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.